Welcome back to Lesson 8, Part 2, where I'm putting thicker paint on my value study. And I'm just showing my 3 stages, my value study, and then the glazing, and then my final work. And that's my final work there. And now let's see how I got there. You can see here I'm adding either a muddy green or a muddy orange. I'm mixing those colors together to get those different tones. After painting a few of the steps, I thought that some of the color was, like on that 4th step, is getting a little bit dull. So I decided to wipe away the paints on my palette and add a brown to mix a little bit of the orange with or a little bit of the green with. That brown is a burnt umber and it's a little on the warm side, and it's just going to add a little bit of warmth to the colors that I'm painting. When I was teaching this whole course, I really didn't get into any of the earthy tones. I was sticking with the hues that you find on the color wheel. It's important that you understand the color wheel in that theory first, and then you can start bringing in other colors that are faster to get from a tube, like your browns and your yellow ochres and your turquoises and things like that. Anytime now you're at that stage, you understand the color wheel and how it works. If you feel like you see that a brown needs to be used or a yellow ochre, follow your gut and get out that tube and use that color. Last thing to mention on this step of your painting, if you see that the glazing underneath is still working really well, you don't have to cover it with thick paint. You can leave some areas where you can see the glazing and the value study underneath, and other areas you can add thick paint. As long as when you look at it, the overall thing works, it doesn't look like it's unfinished, then you can do that. You can leave some of the underpainting visible. So now you can see my finished artwork, and you can see my reference on the side there. It looks like the computer picture is much lighter, but it's not. It's just the way that it's photographed. They're actually very similar in value. So when you zoom up, that's my favorite part of the painting, is just those little bits of stairs. And I like all the different colors that I put in there. So it's not just one flat color. It's a bunch of little other colors. And the little spots and things, I put those on off camera. You can also see in my shadows, it's not just a flat shadow. I've got a bit of pink, I've got a bit of phthalo blue, and a little bit of a green color, an olive color. And my whites behind my subject is a little bit yellow. So I try to make sure that there's a tiny bit of color in everything, including the whites. It just makes things a little bit more interesting. I had a request to talk about flesh tones. So let's talk about using the skin tone out of a tube as your key color that you would put in the circle there. We're going to be doing a color wheel of flesh tones today. So put the key color in the middle. You could use that, but you would want to add different hues to it. You wouldn't want just to use white and black because you would get a very dull skin tone. It wouldn't be very pleasing. So I'm going to show you how to do a color wheel for flesh tones. I got this idea from Colin Davidson. He is an amazing portraiture artist. He's painted the Queen. He knows what he's talking about, and this is what he uses to paint his portraitures and his portraits. And you can check him out on Instagram TV. So you want to get your primary colors. Mine is a magenta, a cadmium yellow, and I'm using a phthalo blue. I'm first going to just mix up some dark colors just so you can see the different kind of darks you can get. You can get purpley darks, you can get greener darks, warmer darks, just using those. Now when I'm using my darks, I like to use a burnt umber and an ultramarine blue. I will mix the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber together to get a black, and I can either make it warmer by more brown or I can make it cooler by more blue. I would not get all of my darks doing it the way that I'm showing right now, just because it's a difficult way to get there, but you can do it if you want the challenge. So what I'm going to do is I've got my primary colors there, and then I've mixed some secondary colors. And then I'm getting my key color, which is my peachy sort of flesh tone. Obviously, this peachy tone is not going to work for every skin tone. It does, however, work for my skin tone, so we're going to use that today. So what I'm going to do is get that peachy skin tone, and I'm going to mix it in with all of those primaries and secondaries that I have there. And you can see, right, that first little stroke I put on there is really nice skin tone. So I'm just going to go around there, and I'm going to add more white and leave some portions dark, and just so I have a variety of all the tints and tones. I'm going to go around the whole wheel doing that. So looking at my hand here, next to all of those colors and tints and tones that I've created, you can see a lot of them will be found on my skin tone. And all that I used to get them all were the three colors, the magenta, the phthalo blue, and the yellow. Now there's my complex way of getting flesh tones. And here's an easier way. If you look at the red orange and the yellow orange, and you look at all those tints and you look at those tones and you look at the shades, then I could probably just use that combination to simplify my skin tones. I could also use a bit of burnt umber, a little bit of ultramarine, and I could get all of those. Look at that next to my my hand. You can see that those tones are really going to work. So you don't have to use such a complicated way to get flesh tones. I thought I would just show you the flesh tones done with all of the primaries and the secondaries, just so you can have the understanding of to get the cools and how to get the warms. But this is all those tints and tones will probably be enough, just using a cadmium red and yellow oxide or a yellow ochre, white and a black, which is the Zorn palette. To talk more in depth about flesh tones and the different ways that you can achieve them is really a whole new course. So thank you very much for everyone who's joined me. Um, Please send me an email, send me any artworks that you've created during the series. I would really love to see what you've come up with. For the people who've donated or paid for the Zoom service of lessons and guidance along the way in this course, thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this series. Thank you very much for coming along for the whole course. If you want to get in contact with me, my details are www.lauriemckern.com.au. You can check out my artwork. You can send me an email. I'm wishing everyone great health and happy painting. Stay creative, and I hope to see you again. Bye.